Europe is scrambling to counter Donald Trump's 28-point Ukraine peace plan after the proposal, widely seen as favoring Moscow, triggered alarm across EU capitals. The plan demands that Kyiv give up territory, cap its military, and abandon NATO membership. But a new twist has deepened European outrage. Reports that the US would take 50% of the profits from reconstruction projects funded by frozen Russian assets.
Ukraine may now face a very difficult choice, either the loss of dignity or the risk of losing a key partner. The pressure on Ukraine is now at its most intense.
The draft, prepared by Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, and Russia's Kirill Dmitriev, proposes using frozen Russian assets to rebuild Ukraine after a ceasefire, but with Washington controlling and profiting from half of the returns. Politico reports that European diplomats are furious, warning the idea could sabotage Europe's own reparation loan mechanism that directs Russian funds to Kyiv without US profit or control.
He'll have to like it, and if he doesn't like it, then, they should just keep fighting, I guess,
The suggestion that he made, though, was that if he doesn't accept it, that the U.S. would pull back its support for Ukraine. Is that
Well, at some
accurate?
point he's going to have to accept something. He hasn't accepted. You remember right in the Oval Office not so long ago, I said, you don't have the cards. Don't forget, I inherited this war. This war never would have happened. I inherited this war. And I thought he should have made a deal a year ago, 2 years ago. The ultimate deal would have been if it never started. That would have been the good deal. That could have been done too if you had the right president, but you didn't have the right president.
A former French official called the proposal scandalous, saying Europe is trying to find a fair legal framework while Washington wants to make money off it. Another senior EU official insisted Trump has no authority to unfreeze Russian assets held in Europe, while one European politician went so far as to tell Politico that Witkoff needs to see a psychiatrist.
Ukraine can count on us because this is not only an aggression against Ukraine, but it is an aggression against the principles of the UN Charter. It's on European soil, and therefore we will support Ukraine for as long as it takes.
Belgium's concerns already complicate Europe's frozen assets plan. Most of the Russian funds are stored there, and Brussels fears retaliation from Moscow. EU diplomats now warn the US proposal could further weaken Belgium's support, with one official saying, "The notion of America profiting off Europe's assets is classic Trump."
Russia's war against Ukraine is an existential threat to Europe. We all want this war to end. But how it ends matters. Rewarding Russia's aggression will not make Ukraine, Europe, or the Indo-Pacific safer. Russia has no legal right whatsoever to any concessions from the country it invaded.
Amid this diplomatic clash, Germany, France, the UK, and Ukraine are rushing to draft an alternative peace framework ahead of the G20 summit in South Africa. Chancellor Friedrich Merz has already spoken with Trump and coordinated with Macron, Starmer, and Zelensky to protect what they call vital European and Ukrainian interests. With rival peace plans emerging, accusations of US profiteering, and European fears of being sidelined, the G20 discussions now carry heightened stakes. Zelensky insists Ukraine will work calmly with all partners, but won't sacrifice sovereignty or legitimacy. As pressure mounts on Kyiv and divisions emerge across the Atlantic, Europe is racing to ensure that any path to peace is not written solely in Washington or Moscow.